You black nurses always think you can talk back to doctors, don't you? The white surgeon's voice echoes through the emergency room, loud, deliberate, meant to humiliate. He steps closer to the black woman in scrubs who just dared to correct him. Harvard degree, 28 years, department chief, untouchable. Then his hand cracks across her face. 30 people freeze, all watching a white man in a white coat publicly strike a black woman for speaking up. Her name is Faith Edwards. Right now, with her cheek burning and witnesses staring, she doesn't know that for the past 4 weeks her signature has been authorizing his paychecks, approving his department budget, funding his operating room. He doesn't know either. She's his boss. Neither of them realizes it. And in 28 days, that ignorance will cost him everything. If you've ever been told you don't belong, comment below. Because this is the story of what happens when the black nurse you slap turns out to be signing your paycheck. Metropolitan General Hospital, February 15th, 2025, 6 a.m. The emergency board meeting happens in a room Faith Edwards has never entered. She's 3 floors below, checking vitals, assigning nurses, managing the morning shift the way she has for 15 years. Charge nurse, emergency room, the person doctors call when they need something done. Upstairs, board chair Douglas Wilson places a document on the conference table. We need a chief nursing officer immediately. Dr. Martinez resigned last month. We can't operate without one. 5 board members review the candidate file. Faith Edwards, 37 years old, Bachelor of Science in Nursing from Johns Hopkins, 15 years emergency room experience, charge nurse for the past 6, and, just completed last month, an MBA from Georgetown, earned online, nights and weekends while working full-time. Wilson watches the board members read. Patient satisfaction scores top 5%, 0 disciplinary actions. Staff consistently rate her as the most effective charge nurse we have. The vote takes 4 minutes, 5-2. Motion passes. Faith Edwards is hereby appointed Chief Nursing Officer of Metropolitan General Hospital, effective immediately, February 15th, 2025. A board member asks, when do we tell her? Wilson signs the appointment letter. We'll handle the formal announcement and ceremony in April, but legally she's CNO as of today. HR will process the paperwork. 3 floors below, Faith Edwards adjusts an IV line. A patient asks, are you the nurse? Faith smiles. Yes, ma'am. I'm Faith. I'll be taking care of you today. She doesn't know that at this exact moment, her name is being filed in hospital records with a title she's never held. Chief Nursing Officer, the woman who oversees every department head, including the chiefs of surgery, medicine, and emergency services. She doesn't know that later today, HR will send her an email marked Routine Supervisory Documents. She'll sign them thinking she's covering for the vacant CNO position, acting charge nurse duties. She doesn't know those documents are budget approvals, payroll authorizations, departmental oversight forms, her signature as Chief Nursing Officer. February 16th through March 14th, 4 weeks. Faith continues working the floor, scrubs, RN badge, 12-hour shifts. She signs the documents HR sends. Please review and approve attached. She thinks she's helping out. Temporary. Until they hire a real CNO. She mentions it once to Jenny Torres, a younger Latina nurse. HR keeps sending me paperwork. I guess they need someone to cover until the new CNO starts. Jenny asks, who do you think they'll pick? Faith laughs. Not me. I'm just a floor nurse. They'll want someone with executive experience. The irony sits in the filing cabinet on the 6th floor. Her signature, Chief Nursing Officer. Over and over. On March 10th, a white attending physician asks Faith to grab him a coffee. While you're up? She does, picks her battles. On March 12th, Board Chair Wilson observes her during a shift. She doesn't notice. He watches her de-escalate a violent patient. Calm, professional, no security needed. He watches her manage 3 crises simultaneously. He nods to himself. We made the right choice. On March 14th, Dr. Gregory Ashford complains to a colleague in the operating room lounge. Did you hear? They made a nurse the new CNO. Can you believe it? Who? Ashford shrugs. I don't know her name. Some floor nurse. It's ridiculous. CNO should be a physician, or at least someone with real leadership experience. He doesn't know her name, but Faith Edwards knows his. Dr. Ashford, cardiac surgery, 28 years. The surgeon who doesn't learn nurses' names, who calls them, hey nurse, or you there, who has, according to hospital records, 17 formal complaints filed against him over 8 years, 9 of them from nurses who are Black, Latina, or Asian. 0 resolved. That night, Faith calls her son, Jordan, 12 years old. "How was work, Mom?" "Same as always, baby. Just a nurse doing her job." But Faith Edwards isn't just a nurse. She's chief nursing officer. Her name is on documents. Her authority is active. Her signature is on file, including on the budget that pays Dr. Gregory Ashford's salary. She just doesn't know it. And the man about to strike her? He has no idea he's about to assault his superior officer. March 15th, 2025, 6:10 a.m. Faith Edwards is making rounds when she hears shouting from Emergency Bay 8. She recognizes the voice before she reaches the door. Dr. Ashford. Inside, Jenny Torres stands frozen, 29 years old, registered nurse, 5 years at Metropolitan General. Her hands shake as she holds a blood pressure cuff. Ashford looms over her. "You missed the second BP reading. Are you incompetent or just lazy?" Jenny's voice trembles. "Doctor, the machine malfunctioned. I reported it to—" "Excuses." Ashford's face reddens. "That's all you people ever have. Excuses. You people." Faith steps through the doorway. Her voice is level, professional. "Dr. Ashford, we don't speak to staff that way here." Ashford turns. His eyes scan her scrubs, her RN badge. He doesn't recognize her, doesn't know her name, has never bothered to learn it despite 15 years working in the same hospital. "Who the hell are you to tell me how to speak?" "I'm Faith Edwards, charge nurse on this shift." Ashford steps closer. Invasion of personal space, a tactic. "You're just a nurse. Stay in your lane." Around them, the emergency room slows. 30 people within earshot. Nurses, EMTs, a resident, 2 attending physicians. They watch. No one moves. Faith doesn't step back. "I'm the charge nurse on this shift. Patient safety is my lane. Apologize to Miss Torres." 11 seconds of silence. Ashford stares at Faith, a black woman in scrubs, telling him, a cardiac surgeon, 28 years, $18 million in annual revenue for this hospital, what to do. The sound is sharp, flat, like a hand meeting skin at speed. Faith's head turns left, her cheek burns, but she doesn't touch her face, doesn't cry, doesn't scream, doesn't make herself smaller. 30 people freeze. Jenny Torres covers her mouth. Kyle Anderson, a black EMT, takes 1 step forward, stops, looks around. No one else is moving. He stops too. Dr. Linda Brown, a white attending physician, holds up her phone, recording. Faith's voice remains steady. She pulls out her own phone, hits record. "Dr. Ashford, you just assaulted me in front of 30 witnesses. I'm formally reporting this under Hospital Policy 340. Ashford laughs. Not a pleasant sound. "Go ahead. Let's see who they believe. A surgeon with 28 years or just another nurse with an attitude." He walks away. The sound of his shoes on linoleum echoes, then stops. The emergency room unfreezes slowly. Jenny rushes to Faith. "Oh my God, are you okay?" Faith's hand finally touches her cheek. "I will be." Kyle Anderson approaches. "I saw everything. I'll testify." Dr. Linda Brown. "I got it on video. 4 other angles from different positions. Within 20 minutes, 15 people have given their names, witnesses. Most are nurses, EMTs, technicians. 4 are physicians. 11 are people of color. 4 are white. All of them note the same thing in their statements. A doctor struck a nurse. Unprovoked, public, violent. None of them know what Faith doesn't know. That doctor didn't just strike a nurse. He struck his boss. The woman whose signature authorizes his departmental budget. The woman who, as of 4 weeks ago, oversees his performance evaluations. The woman who has the authority to recommend his suspension or termination. At 6:48 a.m., Faith Edwards sits in a small office and types an email to Human Resources. Subject, formal complaint, policy, 340 violation to whom it may concern. At 6:14 a.m. on March 15th, 2025, Dr. Gregory Ashford struck me in the face in front of multiple witnesses in Emergency Bay 8. This constitutes assault and violates Policy 340. I am filing a formal complaint and request immediate investigation. Faith Edwards, registered nurse, charge nurse emergency department. She signs it the way she always signs official documents, the way HR has trained her to sign for the past 4 weeks. Faith Edwards, RN. She doesn't know that in the hospital's filing system, her signature is also on file another way. Faith Edwards, CNO. She hits send. And 3 floors up, in an office she's never entered, an alert triggers on board chair Douglas Wilson's computer. He opens the complaint, reads it, then opens another file. Faith Edwards, Chief Nursing Officer, appointed February 15th, 2025, effective immediately. He picks up his phone. March 15th, 9:30 a.m. Dr. Gregory Ashford walks into the hallway where Faith Edwards is updating patient charts. He doesn't knock, doesn't ask permission, just appears. "You really want to do this?" His voice is low, controlled. "You embarrassed me in front of my team. Withdraw the complaint. Apologize. We'll move past it." Faith doesn't look up from the chart. "You struck me. I'm not apologizing. You don't understand how things work here." Ashford leans against the wall, casual, like he's discussing the weather. "I've been at this hospital for 28 years. I bring in $18 million in revenue annually. You've been here, what, 15 years? As a floor nurse." Faith sets down her pen, meets his eyes. "I understand perfectly. Do you?" Ashford's voice hardens. "Because from where I'm standing, you're a staff nurse who stepped out of line. I'm a department chief. Think carefully about who they'll protect." "I already filed the complaint." Ashford pushes off the wall. "Then you just made the biggest mistake of your career. Know your place." He leaves. Faith's hands don't shake, but her jaw tightens. 2 hours later, Faith receives a call from Human Resources. The voice on the phone is nervous, a white woman, mid-40s. "Miss Edwards, we received your complaint. We take these matters very seriously, but Dr. Ashford is a senior physician. These situations can be complex." "Complex? He hit me. We'll investigate, but you should know if Dr. Ashford files a counter-complaint about your workplace conduct." "Are you threatening me?" Silence on the line, then, "I'm explaining the reality." Faith hangs up. Reality. She's heard that word before. Code for doctors win, nurses lose, always. That afternoon, Faith reaches out to Terry Sullivan, a journalist, mid-40s, white, specializes in healthcare investigations. They've never met, but Faith has read his work. He responds within an hour. They meet at a coffee shop 3 blocks from the hospital, off campus. Terry listens as Faith describes what happened, takes notes, asks questions. "Have there been other complaints against Dr. Ashford?" "I don't know. HR won't tell me. They said I need authorization from the chief nursing officer to access personnel files. But the CNO position is vacant." "Exactly." Terry makes a call. 2 calls. 3. By 6 p.m. he has something. "Freedom of information request. Took some arm twisting, but I got it." He slides a folder across the table. 17 formal complaints against Dr. Gregory Ashford, filed between 2017 and 2024. Faith opens the folder. Her hands are steady, but her heart pounds. Complaint after complaint, all dismissed, all marked unresolved or personality conflict or insufficient evidence. She counts. 9 of the 17 complaints were filed by nurses who are Black, Latina, or Asian American. That's 53%. But people of color only make up 28% of the nursing staff. The resolution rate for complaints filed by nurses of color, 0%. The resolution rate for complaints filed by white nurses, 38%. Terry watches her read. There's a pattern. Faith looks up. They protected him for 8 years. They protected revenue. Ashford brings in $18 million annually. That's the reality they're talking about. Faith closes the folder. Then we change the reality. Terry leans forward. "How? You're a floor nurse. What power do you have?" Faith doesn't answer, because she doesn't know the answer. March 20th, 8:45 a.m., board chair. Douglas Wilson convenes an emergency meeting. Faith Edwards is not invited. She's on shift, 3 floors below, wearing scrubs, checking vitals, being just a nurse. Wilson addresses the 5 board members present. "We have a crisis. On March 15th, Dr. Gregory Ashford assaulted Faith Edwards. She filed a formal complaint. He's threatening to sue the hospital for defamation." A board member asks, "The nurse?" Wilson's voice is sharp. "Not the nurse, the chief nursing officer." Silence. "Excuse me?" Wilson places a document on the table. On February 15th, 5 weeks ago, this board voted to appoint Faith Edwards as chief nursing officer, effective immediately. We were planning a formal ceremony in April, but the appointment became legally effective on February 15th. Another board member. Does she know? No. We were handling the transition quietly. HR was processing paperwork. We planned to tell her at the ceremony. Does Ashford know? No, which means... Wilson lets the implication hang. Dr. Gregory Ashford assaulted his superior officer, a member of hospital leadership. This isn't just a workplace dispute. This is assault of a C-suite executive by a department head. The room goes very quiet. A board member finally speaks. We need to tell her. Today. Wilson picks up his phone, dials. It rings 4 times. Faith Edwards. Miss Edwards, this is Douglas Wilson, board chair. Can you come to the executive conference room? Faith's voice is cautious. I'm on shift. I don't think I'm allowed in. You are. Trust me. Please come now. She arrives 20 minutes later, still in scrubs, hair pulled back, RN badge visible. She's never been in this room before. It smells like expensive coffee and old carpet. 5 people in suits sit around a polished table. They look at her. Faith stands near the door. You wanted to see me? Wilson stands. Miss Edwards, please sit. We owe you an explanation and an apology. Faith sits. The leather chair is unfamiliar, expensive, not made for someone in scrubs. Wilson slides a document across the table. Official hospital letterhead. Her name at the top. On February 15th, 2025, this board voted unanimously to appoint you Chief Nursing Officer of Metropolitan General Hospital, effective immediately. Faith reads the document. Reads it again. The words don't change. This says, February 15th. That was 5 weeks ago. Yes. I've been Chief Nursing Officer for 5 weeks? Wilson nods. We were planning a formal announcement and ceremony in April, a proper transition. But we made the appointment legally effective in February to fill the vacancy. You've been CNO since then. Faith's voice is quiet. But I didn't know. That was our failure. Wilson's tone is apologetic but firm. We should have told you immediately. Instead, we delayed for procedural reasons. We're deeply sorry. Faith looks at the document again. Her signature line. Chief Nursing Officer. Dated February 15th, 4 weeks before Dr. Ashford struck her. I've been signing documents. A board member speaks. Yes. HR sent you budget approvals, payroll authorizations, departmental oversight reports. They told me I was signing as acting charge nurse. You weren't. Wilson pulls up files on a tablet, turns it toward Faith. These are budget approvals from February and March. Your signature as Chief Nursing Officer. Faith scrolls through the documents. Her name, over and over. Faith Edwards, CNO. One document catches her eye. Surgery Department Payroll, March 2025. Approved F. Edwards, CNO. She looks up. I signed his paycheck. Yes, you've been approving Dr. Ashford's payroll and overseeing his department since February 15th. The room is silent. Faith processes. 4 weeks. 4 weeks of signing documents she thought were temporary. 4 weeks of being someone she didn't know she was. Did he know? Her voice is steady. Dr. Ashford? Did he know I was CNO? Wilson shakes his head. No, we kept the appointment confidential pending the formal announcement. He didn't know. Faith stands, paces to the window, looks out over the city. 3 floors below, nurses are starting their shifts, checking vitals, managing crises, being dismissed by doctors who don't learn their names. So when he hit me, she turns back, I was his boss. Yes, and he didn't know. Correct, and neither did I. Wilson stands. Miss Edwards, legally, you've held the position of Chief Nursing Officer since February 15th. Your signature has carried that authority. Your decisions have been binding. The only thing that hasn't happened is the public announcement. Faith returns to the table, sits, places her hands flat on the polished wood. Then let's make it public, today, right now. A board member hesitates. Dr. Ashford is threatening to sue. If we announce your position now, it could look like retaliation. I don't care how it looks. Faith's voice is steel wrapped in velvet. I've been the Chief Nursing Officer for 5 weeks without knowing it. Dr. Ashford assaulted his superior officer without knowing it. The truth is the truth. Announce it. Wilson nods slowly. You're right. We'll issue a hospital-wide announcement within the hour, but I need to ask, Miss Edwards, will you accept the position? Formally? Publicly? Faith looks at the document again. Her name, Chief Nursing Officer. A title she earned by showing up every day for 15 years, by working nights to get her MBA, by being excellent when mediocrity would have been easier. I was fighting for respect as a nurse. Now I'll fight for it as CNO. She looks at Wilson. And my first official action? Open a formal investigation into Dr. Gregory Ashford. Full scope. Access to all personnel files. Every complaint. Every witness. Everything. You have our full support. Within an hour, the email goes out. Hospital-wide. Effective immediately, we are pleased to formally announce Faith Edwards as Chief Nursing Officer of Metropolitan General Hospital. Miss Edwards was appointed to this position on February 15, 2025. 3 floors down, Dr. Gregory Ashford reads the email on his phone. His face goes pale, then red. A colleague approaches. "Greg, did you see? I need my lawyer." Ashford's voice is tight. "Right now." By the time Faith Edwards returns to the emergency department, still in scrubs but with a new reality settling on her shoulders, the entire hospital knows. The nurse Dr. Ashford struck? She wasn't just a nurse, she was his boss, and neither of them had any idea. March 20th, 2 p.m. Faith Edwards stands in an office she's never entered before. 6th floor, corner view, a desk with her name on it, Chief Nursing Officer. The nameplate is new. The desk is empty, but file boxes are stacked against the wall. 4 weeks of accumulated paperwork that should have been hers from the start. Monica Harris enters, 41 years old, black woman, internal affairs attorney for Metropolitan General. She extends her hand. "Miss Edwards, congratulations." Faith shakes it. "Call me Faith, and thank you, though this isn't quite how I imagined getting promoted." Monica's smile is wry. "Nothing about this situation is typical, but your appointment is valid, legal, and now it's time to use it." They sit. Monica opens a laptop. "You requested full access to Dr. Ashford's personnel file. I'm authorized to provide it, but I need to warn you, it's extensive." "How extensive?" 17 formal complaints over 8 years. 9 from nurses who are Black, Latina, or Asian American. That's disproportionate given our demographics. People of color represent 28% of nursing staff but filed 53% of complaints against Ashford specifically. Faith leans forward. Resolution rate? For complaints filed by BIPOC nurses, 0. For complaints filed by white nurses, 38%. The numbers settle like stones. Faith's voice is quiet. "They buried them. Not buried, dismissed. Personality conflict. Communication style differences. Insufficient evidence." The language is consistent across all 9 BIPOC complaints. "Who made those decisions?" Monica pulls up emails. "Former CEO Thomas Wright. He retired in February. Most of these dismissals came directly from his office." Faith reads the screen. Email after email. "These nursing complaints are becoming a PR problem. We need to handle this quietly. Dr. Ashford's value to this institution cannot be overstated." One email makes Faith stop scrolling, dated March 2023. "Tom, another complaint from the ER, this time from a Latina RN. Claims Greg used racially coded language. We can't afford another incident after the Rodriguez settlement. Can you make this disappear?" Faith looks at Monica. "Rodriguez settlement?" Monica opens another file. 2022. Maria Rodriguez, Latina nurse, filed racial discrimination complaint against Dr. Ashford. Hospital settled for $180,000. Non-disclosure agreement. She left healthcare entirely. How many other settlements? Officially, just Rodriguez. Unofficially? Monica's expression is grim. "I suspect more, but NDAs make it hard to track." Faith stands, walks to the window. Below, the parking lot. The emergency entrance. The place where she's worked for 15 years while this rot festered above her. "I need the camera footage, March 15th, Emergency Bay 8. Already pulled." Monica opens another file. 4 angles, hallway C cameras, 4, 7, 11, and 14. Faith watches. 4 screens, 4 perspectives, all showing the same moment. Dr. Ashford approaches. Faith intervenes. Words exchanged. Then, the slap. Camera 4. Ashford's hand rises. Faith's head turns left. Camera 7. Jenny Torres covers her mouth. Shock on her face. Camera 11. Kyle Anderson, the black EMT, steps forward. Stops. Looks around. No white staff members move. Camera 14. The wider shot. 30 people. Most in white coats. Most standing still. Dr. Linda Brown, white attending physician, holds up her phone. Recording. 30 witnesses, Faith says. Most of them just watched. That's how systems protect themselves. by making everyone complicit through inaction. Faith turns from the screen. What else? Monica pulls up financial records. This required a subpoena, but it was approved given the circumstances. Dr. Ashford has a consultant contract with Cardiotech Systems, the company that supplies our cardiac equipment. Consultant for what? Product endorsement. He recommends their equipment in procurement meetings. In return, he receives 15% of the contract value annually. Faith does the math. $2.3 million contract. That's $345,000 per year. Been going on for 4 years. That's a conflict of interest. It's legal if disclosed, but there's no record of disclosure in any board minutes. The contract was buried in procurement documents. Rider D, buried in footnotes. Faith sits back down, pieces assembling. Dr. Ashford brings in surgical revenue. Dr. Ashford has a lucrative side contract with a vendor. Former CEO Wright protected him despite complaints. The board didn't know, or chose not to look. Who else knows about the contract? As of 10 minutes ago, you, me, and the board chair. As of 1 hour from now, the state medical board. I'm required to report it. Faith nods slowly. Do it. Over the next week, Faith conducts interviews. Not interrogations, conversations. 15 nurses agree to speak on record. 6 agree to speak on background, names withheld. The pattern emerges in their words. Nurse 1, black woman, 32. He called us you people every time he was frustrated. You people need more training. You people always have excuses. We knew what he meant. Nurse 2, Latina, 45. He told me I was too ethnic for the cardiac unit. Said patients prefer traditional nurses. I asked what that meant. He said I should know. EMT 3, black man, 38. I reported him in 2020. He used a racial slur in the operating room lounge. Said he was quoting a patient. HR said there was insufficient evidence. Nurse 4, Asian American woman, 29. He asked me where I was really from 3 times. Then said I should be good at math, so why couldn't I calculate medication doses faster? When I reported it, I was told he was joking. Nurse 5, white woman, 36. I watched him target nurses of color for years. I stayed silent because I was scared. I'm ashamed of that. Terry Sullivan, the journalist, publishes his investigation on March 25th. Pattern and Practice: How Metropolitan General Enabled Racist Abuse. The article trends nationally within hours. March 28th. Faith presents her findings to the board in a closed session. 103 pages, timeline, witness statements, camera footage, emails, financial records, a state-mandated diversity audit from 2024 that Metropolitan General tried to bury. That audit, conducted by the state health department, found BIPOC nursing staff report hostile work environment at 4.2 times the rate of white staff. Complaints involving BIPOC staff have 0% resolution rate compared to 38% for white staff. Leadership, 89% white, demonstrates pattern of minimizing racial concerns. The audit recommended federal oversight. It was submitted to the board in February, right before Faith was appointed. Board Chair Wilson reads the dossier in silence. Finally, Miss Edwards, this goes beyond Dr. Ashford. This implicates our entire previous administration. Faith's voice is steady. Yes, which is why we need to act decisively, not just for me, for everyone who comes after. Have you ever discovered evidence that changed everything? A document, a recording, a pattern you couldn't unsee? That's what Faith Edwards spent 7 days compiling, and what she found didn't just indict one doctor, it indicted a system. Drop a comment if you've ever had to fight an entire institution, because that's exactly what she was about to do. April 2nd, 2025. Dr. Gregory Ashford hires Richard Coleman, 52 years old, white, attorney known for defending high-profile professionals in misconduct cases. His fee is $800 per hour. The lawsuit is filed at 4 p.m. Ashford versus Edwards and Metropolitan General Hospital. Coleman holds a press conference the next morning. Local media attend. 2 national outlets send cameras. My client, Dr. Gregory Ashford, is the victim of a coordinated effort to destroy his distinguished career. He is being targeted by a hospital administration that secretly appointed an inexperienced floor nurse to a C-suite position without announcement, without transparency, and is now using that secret appointment to claim assault of a superior officer. This is entrapment. This is retaliation, and we will fight it. The lawsuit alleges procedural misconduct, conspiracy, age discrimination. Dr. Ashford, 58, is being targeted by Miss Edwards, 37, in an obvious attempt to force out senior physicians. The complaint goes further. Miss Edwards lacks the executive experience, qualifications, and temperament for the CNO position. Her appointment was made in secret, she was not informed, and she did not publicly hold the position at the time of the alleged incident. This secret appointment defense is legally dubious and ethically questionable. By that evening, conservative media picks up the story. Headlines: Veteran surgeon fights back against hospital's secret promotion scheme. Op-ed: When diversity initiatives become weapons. Cable news segment: Doctor claims he's being punished for success in woke hospital environment. Faith watches the coverage from her office. Monica sits beside her. They're making you the villain, Monica says quietly. Let them. Faith's voice is tired but firm. The evidence speaks for itself, but the pressure builds. April 5th. Jordan, Faith's 12-year-old son, comes home from school with a bloody nose. 3 boys cornered him in the bathroom. Your mom's a liar. She's trying to ruin a good doctor. Jordan fought back, got suspended for 3 days. Faith picks him up from the principal's office. He won't look at her. In the car, he finally speaks. Mom, are they right? Are you ruining someone's life? Faith pulls over, turns to face him. Baby, I was doing my job when a man hit me. Now I'm doing my job by holding him accountable. That's not ruining his life. That's protecting everyone he might hurt next. But they're saying they're scared. When people have power, they're not supposed to have. They fight hard to keep it. It gets ugly. But we don't stop doing what's right because it's ugly. Jordan wipes his eyes. I'm scared for you. I'm scared too. Faith reaches for his hand. But we do it anyway. Back at the hospital, the retaliation continues. Jenny Torres is transferred to night shift. Administration claims it's for her protection. It feels like punishment. She takes it. Kyle Anderson, the EMT who witnessed the assault, is called into 3 separate meetings. Different supervisors. Same questions. Are you sure about what you saw? Could you have misinterpreted? Do you understand the implications of false testimony? He doesn't change his statement. 2 nurses who signed witness statements asked to speak with Faith privately, both white, both apologetic. My husband says we can't afford legal fees if Dr. Ashford sues me personally. I have 3 kids. I'm withdrawing my statement. I'm sorry. Faith doesn't blame them. She understands. Fear is a weapon, and it's being deployed expertly. April 8th. An envelope arrives at Faith's office. No return address. Inside, printouts from social media, comments about her, hundreds of them. Race-baiting liar. Diversity hire who can't handle real professionals. She's destroying a good man's career because he had the audacity to correct her. Worse things. Much worse. Threats that make Monica immediately contact security. That night, Faith sits at her kitchen table. 11 p.m. Jordan is asleep. The house is quiet. Her resignation letter is open on her laptop. She's written 3 drafts, each one different, each one the same essential message. Maybe I'm causing more harm than good. Her phone buzzes. Text from Monica. Don't you dare quit. They want you to. That's the point. Faith stares at the screen, deletes the resignation letter, types a response. I'm not quitting, but I'm tired. Monica's reply is immediate. Tired is okay. Quitting is not. We're close. Trust me. Faith doesn't feel close to anything except breaking, but she closes the laptop, goes to bed, gets up the next morning, puts on her scrubs, still wears them sometimes, still takes shifts when the ER is slammed, and goes to work, because that's what you do. You show up, even when you're breaking, especially then. Dr. Ashford's attorney releases another statement. Miss Edwards claims she was appointed CNO on February 15th, yet continued to work as a floor nurse, unaware of her own supposed promotion. This defies credibility. No competent administrator fails to notice their own appointment to C-suite leadership. This alleged secret appointment is a post hoc legal fiction designed to entrap our client. The media runs with it. Did hospital set up surgeon with secret promotion? Faith reads the coverage, doesn't respond publicly, just keeps working, keeps documenting, keeps building the case. Because evidence doesn't care about public opinion, and truth doesn't require popularity, only patience. April 7th, 2:30 a.m. Faith sits at her kitchen table. The house is silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. A cup of tea grows cold in front of her. She hasn't touched it. For 4 weeks, February 15th to March 15th, she was chief nursing officer without knowing it. She signed documents, approved budgets, made decisions that affected hundreds of people, including the man who struck her. And she had no idea. The question that's been circling in her mind for days finally surfaces, sharp and painful. If I didn't know I was the boss, was I really the boss? She thinks about those 4 weeks. The way she walked through the hospital in scrubs. The way doctors dismissed her. The way she picked up coffee for attending physicians who couldn't be bothered to learn her name. She was chief nursing officer. But she felt like a nurse, acted like a nurse, was treated like a nurse. So what was she? The doubt is insidious. It creeps in through the exhaustion, the isolation, the constant public attacks. Maybe Richard Coleman is right. Maybe a secret appointment isn't real. Maybe she's clinging to a technicality instead of facing reality. Maybe she's not qualified. She's never run a department this size, never managed a C-suite budget. Her MBA is from an online program, earned while working full-time while raising a son alone. Is that enough? Dr. Ashford has 28 years of experience, medical degree from Harvard, published research, awards, recognition. She has scrubs and a badge that says RN. Maybe that's all she'll ever be, just a nurse. No matter what title someone writes on paper. The thought makes her throat tight. Her phone buzzes. 2:43 a.m. Text from Jordan. Can't sleep either? She walks upstairs. Jordan's door is cracked open. Light from his phone illuminates his face. She sits on the edge of his bed. What's wrong, baby? Mom, who were you? Those 4 weeks when you didn't know? Faith doesn't have an answer. Jordan sits up. You taught me something. You said identity isn't about what other people call you, it's about what you do. So what did you do? Faith thinks. Those 4 weeks. She managed the ER, de-escalated crises, saved lives, protected patients, mentored younger nurses, made decisions that kept people safe. I did my job, she says slowly. Then you were doing your job as CNO, even if you didn't know the title. The work was real. The title is just what they call it. Faith looks at her son, 12 years old. Somehow wiser than she feels right now. You were always the boss, Mom. You just didn't have the title, until you did. But the work? That was always you. After Jordan falls back asleep, Faith returns to the kitchen, opens her laptop, looks at the resignation letter she drafted earlier, deletes it, opens a new email to Monica Harris. I need to know, are you with me? Really with me? Because if we're doing this, we go all the way. Monica's response comes at 2:51 a.m. I should have done this 6 years ago when he harassed me, called me an affirmative action mistake. I stayed silent because I had student loans and thought I had no choice. Not anymore. Let's finish this. For Maria Rodriguez, for Jenny Torres, for all of us. Faith closes the laptop. She was the boss those 4 weeks. She signed documents, made decisions, exercised authority. The fact that she didn't know doesn't make it less real. It makes the system that kept her in the dark the problem, not her. She goes to bed, sleeps 4 hours, gets up, goes to work. Because that's what bosses do. They show up. Title or not, recognition or not, they do the work. Have you ever doubted yourself right before a breakthrough? That moment when you're closest to winning but feel most like quitting? Faith Edwards was there, exhausted, attacked, questioning everything. What she didn't know. 142 people were about to show her she wasn't alone. Drop a comment if you've ever needed your community to remind you of your strength, because sometimes we can't see our own power until others reflect it back to us. April 8th, 7 a.m. Jenny Torres opens a Google Doc, titles it, We Stand with Faith Edwards and Against Systemic Racism at Metropolitan General. She writes one paragraph, posts the link to the hospital's internal messaging system. Within 24 hours, 142 people have signed. 89 are nurses, EMTs, or technicians who are Black, Latina, Asian American, or Indigenous. 53 are white employees who note in their signatures. We should have spoken up sooner. Each person voluntarily identifies their race. The point is solidarity across difference. The point is, this isn't one person's fight. The petition statement is 3 paragraphs. We, the undersigned employees of Metropolitan General Hospital, have witnessed Dr. Gregory Ashford's pattern of abuse for years. We have watched BIPOC colleagues harassed, intimidated, and dismissed. We have watched complaints disappear into HR files, never to be resolved. We have stayed silent out of fear. Not anymore. We support full investigation and accountability. We affirm that Faith Edwards' appointment as Chief Nursing Officer was legitimate, earned, and valid, and we demand that this institution protect its workers instead of its revenue streams. April 10th. National Nurses United issues a statement. Healthcare's racial hierarchy doesn't just harm workers, it kills patients. Studies show that Black patients have worse outcomes in hospitals where BIPOC staff face discrimination and hostility. This is not just a labor issue, this is a public health crisis. We stand with Faith Edwards and all nurses fighting for dignity and safety in their workplaces. The NAACP Legal Defense Fund releases its own statement the same day. The pattern at Metropolitan General Hospital reflects systemic racism in healthcare institutions nationwide. We are monitoring this case and prepared to provide support. No worker should face violence for doing their job. No professional should be dismissed because of their race. And no institution should hide behind procedure to protect abusers. The media coverage shifts, not entirely. Conservative outlets still frame it as surgeon versus diversity hire. But mainstream coverage begins asking different questions. How many complaints were buried? Why wasn't the CNO appointment announced? What does the diversity audit actually say? April 11th. Monica Harris makes her first public statement. She's never spoken on record about her own experience, but now she does. She stands outside the hospital, Terry Sullivan's camera recording. 3 other journalists present. 6 years ago, Dr. Gregory Ashford harassed me. I was an internal affairs paralegal at the time. He called me an affirmative action mistake, asked if I was qualified to be here. When I tried to report it through proper channels, I was told he was under stress, that I should be understanding, that these things happen in high-pressure environments. I stayed silent because I had $140,000 in student loans and thought speaking up would cost me everything. Faith Edwards chose differently. Her courage gave me mine back. Today, I'm testifying, not just for her, for every person who was told to be quiet and take it. White allies show up, carefully, not centering themselves, just standing behind Dr. Linda Brown, the white attending physician who recorded the assault. I witnessed everything. I recorded it. I should have intervened physically. I didn't. That's my failure, but I won't fail again. I'm testifying. Kyle Anderson, the Black EMT. I almost didn't come forward. I thought my word wouldn't matter against the doctors, but 142 people just showed me. My word matters. Our words matter. Together. 3 white nurses. We didn't understand what our BIPOC colleagues face daily. We do now. We're sorry we didn't see it sooner, but we see it now, and we're here. April 12th. Faith reads the petition. 142 names, sees Monica's statement, sees Dr. Brown's testimony, sees the national organizations weighing in. She's not alone. She was never alone. She was just the first one to speak, and her voice gave permission to 141 others. That evening, Board Chair Wilson calls her. The State Medical Board has opened a formal investigation, and the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division is reviewing the case. You did it, Faith. We did it, she corrects. 142 of us. April 12th, 3:46 p.m. Terry Sullivan receives an email from an anonymous sender, hospital IT staff. The message contains a single line. Check Ashford's iCloud backup. Smartwatch voice memos. You need to hear this. Terry forwards it to Monica Harris. She obtains a subpoena within 6 hours. By midnight, they have access. Dr. Gregory Ashford's Apple Watch Series 9. He used it to record voice memos, operating room notes, procedure reminders. It synced automatically to his iCloud account. 8 audio files. February through March 2025. Terry and Monica listen together. Faith joins them at 1 a.m. in Monica's office. The first recording is dated February 18th. Ashford's voice, or lounge, talking to someone. These nurses, half of them are DEI hires. Can't even get a competent white girl anymore. It's all about checking boxes. February 28th, post-shift. I heard they made some floor nurse the new CNO. Laughs. Probably another diversity pick. Bet she doesn't last 6 months. March 8th, talking to a colleague. You see that patient in 12? Name I can't even pronounce. Ghetto. These people come in demanding VIP treatment. March 12th. This one makes Faith close her eyes. I'm so sick of this woke bullshit. We used to hire nurses who looked like nurses, you know? Now it's all quotas, half these. Racial slur. Can't even read a chart properly. 8 recordings. 6 weeks. A pattern of casual racism so consistent it's clearly his baseline. But nowhere in the recordings does Ashford mention Faith by name. He complains about some floor nurse becoming CNO. But he doesn't identify her, doesn't connect it to Faith Edwards, the charge nurse he sees in the ER. He knew someone was appointed CNO. He didn't know it was her. April 13th. The audio leaks to the media. Edited for broadcast, slurs bleeped, but the content is clear. April 14th. Richard Coleman, Ashford's attorney, learns about Faith's CNO appointment for the first time. He'd been operating under the assumption that the secret appointment was a legal fiction, a post hoc rationalization. He calls Ashford. Emergency meeting. Ashford arrives at Coleman's office at 9 a.m. Coleman doesn't sit, just looks at his client. That nurse you slapped, Faith Edwards, she wasn't a nurse. What are you talking about? She was wearing scrubs. She was on the floor. She was appointed chief nursing officer on February 15th, 4 weeks before you struck her. It's in the board minutes, signed, filed, legal. Ashford's face goes pale. No. The CNO position was vacant. Everyone knew she was appointed effective immediately. The board kept it confidential pending a formal ceremony, but legally, she was CNO. Which means you didn't just assault a nurse, you assaulted a C-suite executive, your superior officer. Ashford sits down heavily. I didn't know. Nobody told me. How was I supposed to? Coleman holds up a hand. It doesn't matter. Legally, assault is assault regardless of the victim's title. But politically, this is catastrophic. You struck your boss, and now these recordings show your character, your mindset. Even if you didn't know her specific title, you're on tape calling nurses racial slurs, talking about DEI hires. The optics are... I didn't know. Ashford repeats, quieter now. I swear I didn't know she was CNO. That's not a defense. That's an indictment. You saw a black woman in scrubs and assumed she was beneath you. You never bothered to learn who she actually was. And that willful ignorance, that's what's going to destroy you. April 15th. State Medical Board issues Notice of Investigation #2025-0412GA. The same day, the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division announces pattern or practice investigation into Metropolitan General Hospital regarding allegations of systemic racial discrimination in employment. Ashford releases a public statement. I have just learned that Miss Edwards held the title of Chief Nursing Officer at the time of our altercation. I was not aware. Had I known... The statement is cut off by immediate backlash. Social media explodes. So you only respect people if you know their title? I didn't know she was my boss isn't the defense you think it is. Faith watches the coverage, doesn't comment publicly. Just one statement to the press. Dr. Ashford says he didn't know I was chief nursing officer. I believe him, but that's exactly the problem. He didn't need to know my title to treat me with respect. I was a human being. That should have been enough. April 28th, 2025, 9 a.m., State Medical Board hearing, public, 40 people in the gallery. Media in the back row, panel of 5 board members at the front, including Dr. Aisha Jackson, 54 years old, black woman, physician, former nurse before medical school. Dr. Gregory Ashford sits with his attorney. He wears a suit, looks tired, looks older than 58. Faith Edwards testifies first. Navy blue suit, not scrubs. Chief Nursing Officer badge clipped to her jacket. Her voice is steady. On March 15th, Dr. Ashford struck me in the face in front of 30 witnesses. At that moment, I was wearing scrubs. I had an RN badge. I looked like what I'd been for 15 years, a nurse. What I didn't know, was that 4 weeks earlier, the board had appointed me Chief Nursing Officer. She pauses, looks at the panel. But here's what bothers me most. Dr. Ashford says he didn't know my title. Fine. He also didn't know my name. In 15 years at the same hospital, he never learned it. I was just that nurse. Just another black woman he could yell at, dismiss, and ultimately strike. My title didn't matter to me. My humanity should have mattered to him. Board member. Miss Edwards, do you believe Dr. Ashford would have struck you if he'd known you were CNO? I don't know, but I know he struck me because he thought I was powerless. And that's the problem. Jenny Torres testifies. Her voice shakes at first, then steadies. He didn't know Faith was CNO, but he knew she was a person. He knew I was a person. He treated us like we were less than, like our concerns didn't matter, like we existed to serve him. Monica Harris, composed, professional. In 2019, Dr. Ashford called me an affirmative action mistake. I wasn't CNO. I wasn't even a lawyer yet, just a paralegal. Did that make it okay? His defense, I didn't know her title, is irrelevant. Assault is assault. Discrimination is discrimination, regardless of rank. 6 other BIPOC staff testify via video, former employees. Some left healthcare entirely. All tell the same story. Years of dismissal, slurs, humiliation, complaints that went nowhere. The audio recordings are played. 3 clips, edited for the public record but still damning. Ashford's voice, his words, his casual racism. Richard Coleman tries. Those were private thoughts expressed in what my client believed was a private space. Dr. Aisha Jackson cuts him off. Dr. Ashford. I was a nurse before I became a doctor. I know what it's like to be dismissed because of my profession and my race. Your defense is that you didn't know Miss Edwards was chief nursing officer, but you did know she was a black woman. You did know she was a nurse, and you struck her anyway. That tells us everything we need to know. The board deliberates 47 minutes. Decision. Medical license suspended 5 years minimum. 200 hours anti-racism training plus 100 hours ethics training required before reapplication considered. $85,000 fine, criminal referral to district attorney for assault charges, Metropolitan General Hospital placed under federal consent decree, equity reforms, independent monitoring, 3 years. Ashford walks out in silence. No statement. Faith stands outside the courthouse. Press gathered. Dr. Ashford says he didn't know I was his boss. I believe him. But that's exactly the problem. He thought he could strike me because I was just a nurse, because I was a black woman, because he assumed I had no power. He was wrong, and today he learned the cost of that assumption. Richard Coleman issues a brief statement. Dr. Ashford maintains he acted without knowledge of Miss Edwards' administrative role and intends to appeal this decision. May 15, 2025, Policy 340 is revised. Mandatory reporting. Independent BIPOC Oversight Committee, 0 tolerance, federal consent decree mandates quarterly audits, public transparency. The Faith Edwards Nurse Leadership Program launches. 20 scholarships per year, 60% reserved for BIPOC nurses. Floor to leadership pipeline. Jenny Torres becomes nurse educator. Monica Harris continues as internal affairs head, now empowered and protected. Maria Rodriguez, the 2022 plaintiff who left nursing, emails Faith. Thank you. I thought I was alone. Faith Edwards still walks those hallways, sometimes in scrubs when the ER is slammed, sometimes in suits when board meetings run long. She still signs documents, her signature, her authority. Some people know it now, some still don't, but it doesn't matter anymore. She was signing paychecks those 4 weeks. She just didn't know it. Neither did he. But the signature was always hers. The authority was always real. She hadn't been told. And he never bothered to ask. He saw scrubs and assumed powerlessness. He saw a black woman and assumed she was beneath him. That ignorance cost him everything. 'Cause power doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's in scrubs. Sometimes it's signing your paycheck while you're busy dismissing the person holding the pen. You don't need to know someone's title to treat them with respect. You don't need to know their authority to recognize their humanity. Faith Edwards already knew that. Dr. Ashford learned it the hard way. If you've ever been dismissed as just a anything, nurse, teacher, assistant, worker, this story is yours. Respect isn't contingent on rank. Dignity isn't earned by title. It's owed to every person. Subscribe if you believe that. Comment. Have you ever been underestimated because of your job? Share your story because just a nurse can be the boss, and just a person is always enough.